Hey everybody, this is Joel Antoinette. I'm going to do this little YouTube video here from an idea that I got from a subscriber as we just happened to get into some interesting conversation about the Bermuda Triangle and Atlantis, and brought to my attention some interesting ideas and experiences that I've had. So I thought I might share them because others may be kind of interested in this subject, because I am a mariner who has traveled extensively in the Bermuda Triangle area. I have gone through it, around it, across it. I've spent most part of my life having something to do with that area of Bahamas and the Caribbean, and most part of my life has been spent with other people who also are involved in that area, that work in that area. When I say most part of my life, of course I'm referring to most part of my career, which seems like most part of my life anyways. And we all talk, we all share, and I got stories to talk about. And you hear a lot about the Bermuda Triangle in the mainstream, and you rarely hear it through somebody who's really been there and spent a large portion of their life around it. So I'm going to talk about it. And to start off, to tell you, you hear about the Bermuda Triangle and, methane pockets of gas swallowing ships, and, alien spacecrafts disappearing other ships, and white squall storms. And, these are all things that never really ever have been spoken of amongst the professionals that I have spent time with. I'm sure maybe there could be some unique storm systems that do appear out there. We talk about maybe water spouts and things like that. But the community definitely does share things of danger out there. For instance, if a ship it does go down, that is big talk. Everybody talks about a vessel sinking out there. The last event that took a lot of attention was the El Faro ship that went down in that area. It went down somewhere north of Puerto Rico. I think that happened about 2016 or so. And everybody was talking about that. Everybody wanted to know exactly what happened, because nobody wants to be in that position. And when that ship went down, that was 16 hands lost. That was a very unfortunate situation there. And what did end up happening is it went out, it got caught in a really bad storm. It lost power somehow. Supposedly some of the cargo bays came open, it flooded with water, and the ship was lost. But everybody wanted to know. It was on everybody's mind, and so we all share. And you would think if there was methane gas pockets being released, swallowing up ships, that would have been talked about, So somebody would have mentioned about it. If a ship is lost, I've never in my career just heard of a ship just vanishing. Of all the thousands and thousands of yachts that go in that area, no, not since I've been working do we know of one that just simply disappeared and completely unexplainable and whatnot. But however, I do have some unique experiences in that area, working in that area, that I just really couldn't explain. And most of them had to do with the equipment malfunctions and things of the such. And I'm going to tell you about those, because now as I think back at it, I see quite a unique pattern almost. Almost like as if something was trying to communicate with me, as there was some sort of an intelligence behind these events and situations that transpired. Tell you about the first one. This one was pretty funny, to us anyways. So I was working on a 60-meter yacht, and we were out in the Bahamas, and we were doing charters. We were going from island to island, going all over the Bahamas. And on this particular yacht, I was bunking with this 23-year-old kid. He was a deckhand, and I was 43, or 20 years younger than me. And this kid always had electronic devices going off in the middle of the night. Oh my God. I used to get so upset. I'd be, Chris, turn off your crap. What are you doing? You know, he'd be getting text messages, Instagram alerts, and God knows what, and it'd wake me up, and I'm like, damn it, Chris, turn off your crap. I'd hit him with pillows, all kinds of stuff, right? And one night, I wake up, I'm hearing some kind of electronic noise. It's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I wake up, I'm hearing something, I can't figure out what it's like. His iPad turned on is playing music or some crap. I don't know. You know, it's like his phone ringtone or something. I don't know. And I'm like, Chris, what the hell? Turn your crap off. And I'm hitting him with the pillow, and there he's up there. He's on the top bunk. He's fumbling with all his, you know, iPads and laptops, and he's like, he can't find what's on. And then he looks around the room, and he looks down at my nightstand, and it's my iPod is on. And it is playing the stupidest song in the world. I don't even know how this song is on my iPad, but it's on my iPod. But it's playing Fergalicious, Bubblicious, so delicious. And it's just the silliest bubblegum song. I have no idea how. I just downloaded a bunch of music, and that song is on there somehow. And I don't never listen to it. But that iPod was on. It was playing through my earbuds, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, it sounded really loud. Especially when you're trying to sleep, you're tired, you've been working all day. Well, so then I look down, and I go turn it off, and I'm like, how is it even possible that could have turned on? That makes no sense. I've had this iPod for years. It's never just turned on by itself. I go work out with this, run around with it. It's never just turned on. And then especially get to that silly song that I'd be almost embarrassed to know was on my iPod. It made no sense whatsoever. And then, of course, like, Chris would never let me down over it. You know, he's always making fun of me of, you know, what other kind of gay music you got on there, huh? I mean, like, but I was always stumped by that particular event. And yeah, that was right there in the Bermuda Triangle area. Another event. This was on the same boat, actually. And we were in the middle of a charter, again, going all over the Bahamas. And I got an opportunity to get off the boat with the charter guests to go see the swimming pigs and the exumas. This was a big deal because I always wanted to see these swimming pigs. I've known about these swimming pigs for years. And it's this really nice deserted island off the Exumas where somehow pigs live there, and they go swim out in the ocean, and everybody feeds them, and, you know, it's just a oddity of the Bahamas. And I got the opportunity to go with the charter guests, and most of the crew got to go too. And, you know, we all jump in this. We had a big 30-foot tender that we could all pile into, and so it was the second engineer and the captain were left on the boat while the boat was at anchor and sitting on generator. And so I go see the pigs and get that experience and, you know, see what all that's about. And when I get back, the second engineer's like, you will not believe what happened. I'm like, what happened? Is everything all right? He's like, yeah, everything's okay. It's okay, but I do not understand what just took place while you're gone. The power went off twice. And I didn't know, you know, what to do exactly, or what happened. And I was like, well, wait a minute, the power went off. Now this electrical system is all computer controlled. If you lose one generator, the other generator is supposed to automatically start up and put the vessel back online, and there shouldn't be a problem, you know. But he's like, the other generator didn't come online either. It was almost like as if somebody turned off all the switches, and the backup didn't come on. Now, this is a big deal. If you're on charter and you're losing electricity for some reason, this needs to be figured out. You need to know what's going on here, and especially if it happened twice in a row. All right, so we went through everything. I went through everything that I could. Didn't see anything that seemed out of place. It never happened again. And even I returned back to Fort Lauderdale, like, shortly after that trip. I even had an electrician for Atlas Marine come in and try to see if he could diagnose, like, what exactly transpired there, because maybe it's something that's going to continue in the future, and we, if we could fix it now, it could avoid a lot of problems. But he was completely stumped too. It was almost like as if somebody was in there pushing buttons, playing games or whatever. No definite answer as to what transpired there. That was just an oddity. Another situation. This is a unique one here. We're coming back to Fort Lauderdale from St. Martin. And we're traveling through, get to the Bahamas. Now, we spent a lot of time down there in St. Martin chartering. And we were tired. Everybody's tired. We had a great time. St. Martin made a lot of money. All was good. But we were ready to go home. And just as we're hours away from entering the port of Fort Lauderdale, Port Everglades, the captain gets a call over the radio. It was the Customs and Immigration. They said we're not authorized to enter the country because we didn't have some particular paperwork in order, and we had to wait until we get this particular paperwork in order. It was having to do with a cruising permit of some sort, and he didn't have all the I's and Q's dotted, whatever. And so the captain's like, oh, all right, well, we'll get it. It was going to take a day or two to get this paperwork in order. And so we go anchor off of Cat Cay, right? And Cat Cay is just north of the island of Bimini, just across the Gulf Stream from Fort Lauderdale. At night, you could just about see the Miami lights. It's like, at the time, it's like, oh, it's so close to home, and yet so far away. And we're going to have to sit here for a couple of days and wait for this paperwork to go get sorted out. Well, we're sitting on the east side of Cat Cay. Right? And the east side of Cat Cay is just south of Bimini, like I said. And this is right next to where the Bimini Road is at, that is said to be part, or theorized to be part of Atlantis. And where we were anchored in this little bay on the west side of Cat Cay, a little cove, we were anchored there. We jump in the water. Let's go swimming. Let's just, make the day go by. So you don't have nothing else to do. And we get all the snorkeling gear out and, swim to the beach from the boat. And we were having a lot of fun. That was actually really cool. And what fascinated me is when I got to close to the beach, there was these large square-shaped rocks, huge rocks. It just seemed so out of place, with all these right corners and, all different shapes, bigger, smaller, whatnot, but like rocks or stones that I've never seen before, and certainly seem to have, you don't just see right-cornered shapes, square shapes typically in nature, and they very much reminded me of the pictures of the underwater Bimini Road. I've never seen the Bimini Road personally, but I've seen the pictures. And these were on the beach, and then just a little bit off the beach, and you could snorkel around and see these things, and I've never heard of this before. And I'll tell you, my mind was on Atlantis a lot right then. Could this actually maybe be part of it? Like, you never heard this in the mainstream. And I seemed to be the only one excited about that for some reason. Nobody else really seemed to see what I saw. But we ended up just, swimming around, having fun, seeing seeing nature, and all was good. And the paperwork finally got squared away, and we were authorized to enter the country. And we're getting ready to go. We pull up the anchor. And just as we pull up the anchor, I get a radio call. They always got to carry a radio. And I wasn't in the engine room. I was like on deck or something. And I get a radio call just as we're moving, getting underway. We lost port engine. Port engine is down. Like, oh, wow. So I go down to the engine room. Sure enough, the port engine's off. But there's no alarms. There's no nothing. It's like, typically, like, those engines are all computer or electronically controlled. They do not just shut off. And if they do, like if they run out of fuel or if they overheat or there's low oil pressure, they'll send an alarm telling you, like, this is the problem. This is what happened. But there's nothing. It's just like as if somebody just shut the engine off. Well, so I just restart it. Boom, it comes right back up online. I call back to the wheelhouse. Hey, everything looks good. Continue. We start going, and about like 5 minutes later, it shut off again. Again, I get the radio call. Hey, Joel, we lost the port engine again. I'm like, oh, this is not good. This is really bad. Well, go back down there, and again, no alarms, no indication of anything. I've never seen this happen before. It is just like as if somebody would have walked up and just pushed the off button, because that's just what it seemed like, right? That was the position of the engine. I turned everything off. I shut the battery power off. I just reset everything, and please God, Lord in heaven, let this thing work. And sure enough, I fired it back up. I called the wheelhouse. Hey, you're back online, and let's pray that it just doesn't shut off again. And it didn't. It didn't shut off. And we got back to Fort Lauderdale. We got tied to the dock. And now I really want to know what happened there. How did that engine just shut off out of nowhere? I've been operating this engine for, I don't know, 8 months now, not a problem. And then all of a sudden it shuts off twice with no alarms, no indication, no nothing. And I called in some technical support. And I was like, I want to know what happened here. Is there anything you can tell me? Can you plug in your laptops? And they're like, everything's good. And they're like, the only thing they suggest, hey, go through all the wires, make sure all the wires are it's connected in solid. And so I did. I tightened up every wire. There's all kinds of wire blocks in there. And I went through every single wire on that engine. And in the wiring harness, I found some that, they could turn a little bit, tighten up and whatnot. But I never did find the smoking gun on that. I never found like where a wire was just barely making connection or whatever. I never knew what happened. And then I operated that same boat for a while longer. I ended up taking it all the way to Newport from Fort Lauderdale and never had that problem again. Never knew what happened. So, but we were in the Bermuda Triangle there. And the thing that I noticed, and I have so many more experiences of equipment malfunctions and things like that. And the one thing I had come to notice is they all seem to be coming from an electronic source that had been altered in some sort of way, So something electronically went wrong that caused something mechanically to fail. The iPad, the iPod turning on, that was a failure. You're waking me up in the middle of the night. You failed, but something strange was happening there. It was still through electronics is where I'm getting at. And now, as time went on, I started to take interest in these other people that I started to listen to. One was named, a woman named Dolores Cannon. And another name is Bashar, channeled by Daryl Anika. Now, the thing that these two people have in common is they both have found some source of intelligence to communicate with that seemed very interesting to listen to and listen about and learn from. And Dolores Cannon had this ability to hypnotize people and to be able to communicate with some sort of subconscious level of individuals. And it was like she kept talking to the same source of intelligence regardless of who she was talking to, which was very fascinating to me. And she wrote a lot of books, Convoluted Universe and things like that. And she spoke often of Atlantis. She asked a lot of questions about Atlantis, and she wrote a lot about it. Daryl Anika, who channels this being named Bashar, Bashar is supposedly a being that comes from the other side of our galaxy that lives 300 years in the future. It's actually considered to be Daryl Anika's future self communicating with his previous self. And again, there's another source of intelligence that's being communicated through, and he shares all kinds of unique, interesting life perspectives. And regardless of the story of if he's really channeling an alien being or not, it almost doesn't even really matter to me, because what he has to say is enough to keep my attention, because it's very mind-expanding sort of material. And he also had spoke a lot of Atlantis. And the two things that they both talked about. They both lined up with one another. They both were saying similar things in different ways. They both talked about a very advanced sort of continent that existed there in the Atlantic Ocean, the Bahamas being the very western end of this continent. And the people were extremely spiritually advanced. They became very technologically advanced. They almost became too technologically advanced. And they both say the same things. They started tampering with things that they shouldn't have been tampering with. You know, like antimatter and splicing humans with animals and creating life forces that should not exist. And supposedly it was decided by powers much greater than ourselves, the ones that run the universe, that they had to wipe that off. They had to wipe that all out and start all over again. So they sent a meteor in and just took out the whole continent. And however, the continent is still very much underneath the ocean. And the beings that were there, that were the Atlanteans, were extremely intelligent, and they had these power sources. They were able to get free energy. And they used some sort of power generators that were made of crystal. And that these crystal power generators are still underneath the sea as we speak now. And they still are emitting frequencies of energy that we here may not completely understand. We don't know how that worked, what that was doing. Were they transmitting electricity through the air? And, you pick it up like you do a radio, picking up a radio station. We don't know. But I do know that all these experiences that I've had, they've all come through the electronics of the ship. And the other thing is there seemed to be some sort of an intelligence, because like having the power go out twice in a row, and the sequence of buttons pushed that seemed to have been pushed was too far to be coincidental. The engine's shutting off twice. It's just like as if something pushed the button twice. You could kind of see the synchronicity of it, or a pattern, I should really say. But I believe that there very much could be some sort of underwater sources of energy being emitted in that area. And a lot of people may just not be perceptive of catching it. They just might be just freak mechanical malfailures. It just happens, Yachts are very delicate pieces of machinery. They are always faltering somehow, some way. And I could totally get that. But in my experience, I think there's something there. It's something a little bit that I can't quite explain. And in trying to explain it is very complex. The stories may not be very exciting for others to hear, or maybe, easy to comprehend, or, you're getting a long, drawn-out explanation of an equipment malfunction. I don't know if people find that interesting. I do. I'm the type of individual, I need to know exactly what went wrong, how, when, where, why, blah, 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 And that's what makes me an engineer. I like when other engineers explain to me stories of, things faltering and how they got it sorted and what happened. And I've asked some of my other friends. I've had other friends mention and ask me in the past about if I've had experiences out in the Bermuda Triangle. And at the time, I wasn't very perceptive, and I didn't have any then. But I've had some others share with me what they thought they saw that they couldn't explain, lights in the skies and things like that. But it's not talked about much in the industry, that's for sure. There certainly isn't ships being sucked up by aliens and things like that we know of. And that's my story. That's my experience. And I hope you may have enjoyed what I had to share. Okay, everybody have a great day.